What's up guys, it's Matt Collins Jones here, also known as D365 Geek, and today we are talking about Power Automate, we're talking about expressions and functions, and we're going to talk about the addProperty function in the manipulation functions section. So what is addProperty? addProperty is the ability to add an additional property into a JSON object that you're receiving. So you could get a JSON object relating to, say, a person or a contact, and you could use a flow to inject data into that if it's missing some properties. So maybe you're looking up some values against something else. You can inject it into that object, and then you can send that object back. Well, let's take a look at it. So I'm here in Power Automate. I have a manual trigger flow, and I've got a couple of variables. So this first variable is called object of person, and this is of type object, and all we have is just an object of a first name, last name, and email address for this person. This person's called Dean Herb, and they are from contoso.com, and that's their email address. So what we can do is we can actually inject a further entry into this object, a further property into this object after we run this. So we go down to compose action. We're going to leave variable 2 for now. Go down to compose, expand that, go over to expressions. We're going to scroll down until we get to the manipulation functions, which is down here. And this first one says add property, and it's got 3 parameters. So we've got an object, so that's the object we're passing in, the property that we want to add, and then the value to that property. So the description says returns an object with an additional property value pair. So if we click OK, that'll go into the expression editor at the top, and we need to get our object and then put in our property and our value. So the object is actually that object from that variable. So I'm going to switch over to dynamic content, and then we have the object of person. That's the one we've been looking at. So that puts the dynamic content in there, so we'll be getting these values of this object here. I can add a comma in, and then we'll go on to the next bit, and then we will add a property of middle initial. So we're putting that in single quotation marks, so it treats it as a string, and then we're going to do another comma, and we're going to have another single quotation marks in here, and we'll put the letter M. So Dean Herb's middle initial is M. Once we're happy with this, we can click OK. That updates the compose box down here. We can see if we hover over, and then we can test this flow out. So go up to test at the top. I'll perform the trigger action, save and test, run the flow, click done, run successfully. So we can see that in the initialized variable stage, we are initializing this object here of Dean Herb, so the first name, last name, and the email. If we scroll down to the compose action, we can see we now have a 4th property in here, which is the middle initial. So it's taken that property, it has realized that it will retain that object, it's realized that it's an object, and it's appended it to the end of that object. So unlike other functions that will append to strings and things like that, this actually understands that this is an object, it has a structure, and therefore what we are doing is we're adding a comma to the end of this line, adding the other line under here, we're adding quotation marks in, we're adding colons in, and we're adding the value in again in quotation marks. I didn't input any of that into this. Flow just knows that this is an object, this is the format it needs to take, this is how we're going to append to it. So there we have it. That's how you append to an object. But we can go one step further with this. So this is kind of a flat object. It's not got any nodes in it. It's just one singular object here. But here we have an example of one with an additional node. So this has a sort of a parent property, and these are the child properties, and we can actually add stuff into here. So in situations like this where you do have this sort of parent-child relationship, you can also use the flow to do this as well. So we will remove this from the compose action. We will type in add property. We'll pass in our object first. So we'll do child person, that's the name of the object that I'm doing there. Now the next thing we need to do is because this is going to be a parent-child object, what we need to do is we need to specify the parent value so that we know where we're putting this thing. So we're actually going to put this into the child, but we need to specify what the parent object is. In this case, this is the parent object. The person is this parent object. So we will do square brackets, and inside these square brackets, we'll put single quotation marks, and we'll type in the name of the parent object, which is person, because that's where we're getting it from here. After that, we can add a comma, and then we can add a single quotation mark, and then we can add our property in. So in this case, we actually don't have an email address, so we could put an email in this one, for instance. We can add a comma, and then another single quotation mark, and we'll type in fred@acme.com. And that is the whole property. So that property, adding the variable, which is the object, then without anything else, without brackets, without sort of commas or anything, we're specifying the parent object, and then we're putting in the property and then the value, closing the brackets, click OK, go into there, and we will test this out. We'll click on test. I'll perform the trigger action, save and test, run the flow, click done, run successfully. In here we can see we do have this parent-child relationship, so we've got this one, and this is like the node that is in, for instance, and then down here we can see we have now added into that child of that parent the email address here. So if you do have these sorts of structures in your objects, in your JSON objects, you can still use this property, this addProperty function, to add stuff in there. So I hope this makes a lot of sense. I hope this will be useful for you. This should especially be useful if you're getting inputs from different locations, different APIs, different endpoints. To handle the data, to add some additional data, you could take these details and you could go find different records in different systems for it. You could put it back in, update the object and send it back if you need to update various systems. So this is really, really powerful functionality that we have here in Power Automate. So as always, I want to know what you guys are using this for. Let me know in the comments down below. Or if you've not already, please contact me on social media. All my details are at the end of this video, so you can contact me on there and drop me a message about what you use this for, or just say hi. I like to chat to people. If you've not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like and please share this video with your friends, and I'll see you next time.